welcome back to another episode of Authentic Amigas. My name is Valerie.
And I'm Florencia. Thank you for joining us on another week's episode of Authentic Amigas Podcast. Here we talk about all different topics, everything under the sun. And this week we're going to be going into a topic that I personally avoid most of the time. We're going to be talking about high school. I don't
I'm
know
like all
how
of
do
a
you
sudden
feel?
trauma.
I
I'm
know,
like run.
seriously. Yeah, the anxiety in me just went up. But today we're gonna be talking a little bit about high school. I don't know, best friend, do you avoid talking about your high school experience?
Yes. I just try to pretend that it didn't exist, but we're gonna dive deep into it. We are going to get down with the traumas that come with high school. But there are good times, and we'll also talk about those. So very excited to talk about this today with you guys.
Yeah, and when we were talking about this, I told Val that I wanted to make today's episode the title be "If You Knew Me in High School, No, You Didn't,"
Mhm. Mhm.
because that's truly how I feel. And I think I don't want to only confine it to like the 4 years of high school. I think for me, when I talk about like high school or like kind of being like a teenager, I think of anywhere from like sixth grade, like middle school, to like when I was like 19. That's rough. That's a big, that's 6 years of my life. 6 years of my life. And I'm only 23. I'm only 23. I'm going to be
Yeah.
24. So that's like 25% of my life that I would rather have forgotten. Not all of it, but a lot of it.
Right, right. But now it's just another chapter in our book, and we are going to open that back up today. But before we do that, if you have not yet, go ahead and follow us everywhere at Authentic Amigas. Where can they find us, best friend?
On all social medias, we are at Authentic Amigas. As far as streaming platforms, you can find us on Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. Also, quick shout out to our ratings on Apple Podcasts. If
Yay.
you like listening to Authentic Amigas, if you like Val, if you like me, go ahead and give us a rating. Let us know what you think on the Apple Podcasts app. We really appreciate it, and we read every single comment.
Yeah, we do. I'm like, and we screenshot it, and I'm like, and we're about to like hang it up in our walls. So
No, seriously, frame it.
yeah, it means so much to us. So thank you so much for being here. We also are going to start hitting up people to be guests. So if you want to be a guest at our little Authentic Amigas little place, little Zoom conference here that we do for our podcast, hit us up in the DMs and let us know that you would like to be interested in being a guest on this podcast. We'd love to have you.
So yeah, with that being said, we'll go into it a little bit. For context, I'm 23, Val's 24, so we've been out of uh, high school and college for some time now.
Hmm.
Um, and we just want to talk a little bit about our experience. I mean, I don't want to scare y'all with my little intro about like I'd rather forget it, but it's not for like terrible reasons. It's just an awkward time in life, I think, for me. And it's something that I feel so different at even like at 22, 23 from how I felt like at 19, which is
Right.
crazy because it's not too many years difference, but my mindset, my confidence, my goals, all parts of me like are in a different place now, which is why I think of it as like a different time in my life.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, high school for me was really rough actually. I did mention that there were some good, and there's always good in everything, honestly, even like the really horrible parts of our chapters in our life book. But high school for me wasn't fun. Wasn't like the highlight of my life whatsoever. And a lot of people that I've talked to actually like that's the case for a lot of people. Um so I went to Whittier Christian. So let's back up actually. I went to two high schools. So I went to Ontario Christian High School. Then I transferred over to Whittier Christian High School my junior year. So I was 2 years at one, 2 years at another. I had the worst experience at my first high school. It was just a lot, and maybe one day we'll talk about that. But I definitely went through some life changing events that I'm still dealing with today as a grown adult. Luckily, we have the tools now, though, to deal with all those things. But I ended up transferring, went to Whittier Christian, and for me, it wasn't good. For me, it wasn't good. And I think it's mostly because I took with me, I left that original school I was at, but I took with me all the negativity and the trauma that I had experienced there. And I took it into this new school and I came with it. And when you go into anything with a negative attitude, it's not gonna go right for you. So that's really kind of what happened. Um, it wasn't fun. It was not fun for me. How about you, best friend? Where did you go? Tell us a little bit about the background of high school for you.
Yeah. So, real quick, I know that we have a lot of like little cousins. I have little sisters. Anybody who's listening, if you're younger, you're at that stage in your life. The only thing I could say is like it is not going to be the same forever. um, so okay, so I went to Walnut High School. I live in Walnut, a very nice city here in California. Um, and I honestly, like I said, don't like to think about it too much because I feel like I was I'm very, very different now.
Mm,
Which is why I say if you knew me then, no, you didn't. Because that's not the same person that I am today. Um, it's weird because a lot of the friends that I had in high school are still my friends like today actually like but the thing is that and this is where I say I'm very different. I feel like at that time in my life I was very like very to myself, very closed off. I was not outgoing or friendly. I wasn't mean, but I wasn't like definitely like didn't put myself out there like to make friendships. I was just kind of like I was just kind of there and I minded my business. And I feel like I had my 2 to 3 close friends at any given time that were like my rock.
yeah.
And that's who I hung out with all the time. And that's why I say like I'm still friends with them to this day. So I'm very grateful. But yeah, I just feel like I was very quiet, kind of minded my own business. I had like a lot of people, I had very strict parents all throughout my life.
Mm,
So I couldn't really like hang out too much, didn't really get to like do a lot of like fun school things. Um, and I feel like now as an adult, I'm like, I have the opportunity to kind of do more of like whatever I want. And so I feel like that is kind of related to like why I'm a different person.
yeah.
But yeah, I was in band. Any fellow bandies out there?
Oh yeah, tell us what activities you were doing in high school. Were you in any extracurricular activities? What courses were you taking? Give us a little background about Florencia in high school. Was she
Yeah.
like in all AP classes?
Yeah, you know what? I was. And I think this is tied to the strict parents part because they were like very on me about like my grades and everything. It was not a joke. I had the type of parents where like I would get my report cards and it was like if you had an A minus, they'd be like, why do you have an A minus and not an A?
Really?
Yeah, on God. Like and it's they're not like that anymore, which is so weird. When you're the oldest sibling, you watch your parents become less and like less strict as the years go by and like with your younger siblings. And that's definitely what I went through. So
Yeah.
so yeah, they were super on me about my grades. I was in like I was in the IB program at my school. I don't know if your school had an IB program. It's kind of like AP, but it's like a whole diploma program. um, and so you have to take like a whole set of like IB classes. It's not like pick and choose. I know like with AP when we were in high school, like you could pick and choose like which ones you want to take, but
Yeah.
I was in the IB program. Bunch of smart kids, like very studious kids whose parents I'm sure were also very strict with them. But I did not like a lot of them because they
Yeah.
were so snobby. And I feel like they were so like I'm gonna go to an Ivy League school, like don't talk to me,
Right.
which I hated. So I was like in these classes with like kids who I didn't relate to. I didn't really like their attitudes.
Mhm.
And then I was in band a couple years in high school. I ended up dropping because school was too hard to
Tell us
do
what
actual
instrument you
band.
played.
I played the trombone. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, I was a little brass kid. But it was
Yes,
very it
sir.
was very fun. I actually really enjoyed that part of school. But yeah, I honestly the only way that I got through like middle school and high school is my friends. My friend Rudy, which you've met Val, and anybody who knows me knows Rudy.
Angel.
He,
Angel.
yeah, no, dead ass. Like,
Angel.
I would not be standing here or sitting here without him, because those are like him and my other very good friends in high school are like the reason that I am still here. And
Period.
yeah, when I tell you, like, I would eat lunch with him. He would share his lunch with me because I never brought food and I didn't have money. So we would just hang out together, and he would share his lunch with me, give me rides places, let me cry on him.
Wow.
But yeah, what a mess.
No, Rudy is really like what a real like what a true like if somebody could paint a picture of like the bestest of friends and like a true friend, a perfect friend, literally Rudy. Like I can't think I strive to be like Rudy all the time as a friend and in all my relationships. I just watch him and how he interacts with people he cares and loves and it just inspires me to be better all the time. So shout out to Rudy. And I do
Yeah.
want to add, you literally like I think I've heard you say how grateful you are for all those experiences that like you went through with Rudy in high school and how he was always there for you. I can't even count how many times you've told me that. So I
Yeah.
yeah.
Seriously, I may, and maybe that'll be a topic that we'll talk on someday, is like
We have to bring
friends.
Rudy in here.
Oh yeah, I would love to have him. He's a very good person to talk to. He's very good at giving advice. If anybody ever wants advice on something, that's an episode that we should have
No,
room
yeah.
for. But but
Yeah.
yeah, so definitely credit my friends for making it through. But yeah, I mean, overall, I was just there. I was happier when it was over, to be honest, because I feel like after I went to college, and like after like age 19 or so is like where I started to step into myself, and like my confidence leveled up, my happiness leveled up, my control over like my own life leveled up,
Mhm.
um and yeah, so
Okay.
that's kind of where we're at now. But
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. For me, I think we had very different high school experiences. I think we've talked about this before, how our experiences in high school were very different. And I think you and I were very different people in high school too. Like, I think if we were have like we were attending the same school, we would probably be like opposites.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, I only had like, my very tight group of friends.
Right.
So, but and it's really funny because now, like, I think we met at each other like at that like critical phase in my life where, like I said, like my whole life changed kind of, and like my whole attitude changed.
Yeah.
And it's funny how like we met during that time as well.
Yeah, and I met right when I was like transitioning and figuring out who I wanted to be and who I really was. Actually, not who I want to be, who I think I always was, but just, environment reasons doesn't allow you to be that person. But yeah, I met you at a very crucial point in my life. And I always say like you changed my life because literally like from the moment I met you, you couldn't recognize the old Val at that point. Like you really couldn't. You changed my life. But let's go back to high school because I'm like we can talk about how great we are
I
today,
know.
but
I
let's
could talk about
really
how I love Al.
yeah, but let's really get into it. Cuz high school was not the best for me like I said before. I was a really sad girl in high school. Um, I wasn't allowed to attend dances, wasn't allowed to attend games, wasn't allowed to attend anything until my senior year. I had really strict parents like Flo, and I wasn't into school either. Like I wasn't nothing could get me to focus in class. Like no one or nothing could get me to focus. I was just angry all the time. And so all I would think about was like not being there and how I could get out of there. I wouldn't ditch school too much. But I started ditching school once I got blamed for ditching school when I wasn't trying to ditch school. So when that happened, I was like, all right, if you're gonna be blaming me for ditching school, might as well ditch this hoe because I'm not gonna get in trouble for no reason. So might as well give it a reason to get me in trouble. So I wasn't the best kid in high school for sure. But again, I think it came from actually not I think I know it came from a place of hurt. I was actually a pretty bad kid in high school with my peers and like I wasn't the nicest at all. I was nice to people that like I was close to, but other than that, not really. If I felt like you crossed me sideways, like it was done. Like I had no kind of remorse. Like I just had no sympathy. I was pretty heartless. Like it was just no emotion. So I would snap off at people really quick if I felt like they looked at my friend off or they looked at me off. Like anything like that would make me really angry. Um, and yeah, other than that, I wouldn't say I wasn't a popular kid, but I was like friends with everybody because I didn't really care about status either. Like I had a friend in every friend group because I've always loved like talking to people. I was just an angry kid. I was such an angry kid. I was a hurt kid. I want to say hurt. I was a really, really hurt child who needed to be heard and listened to. And I just unfortunately didn't have that at the time. So I just unleashed in different ways. Um, and yeah, I'm like, what else can I say about high school me? Oh, I finessed in high school. That's something we're gonna say right now. I finessed in high school. I learned how to finesse in high school because I don't want to. I'm a smart girl. I am really smart, but there's certain subjects in school at the time where I really didn't. You could not pay me to pay attention. So I did finesse my way in high school. Um, I'm like, should I talk more about that? But maybe. I'm
Well,
like,
you are the queen of finesse in all like aspects.
no, and I think it's an important skill to have is to be able to finesse out there. And finesse isn't necessarily like it's not a bad thing depending on how you use it, right? But like finesse can be like learning how to negotiate. Like finessing taught me how to negotiate because even in high school I was negotiating with my like teachers on like how we could like figure out a way where I can get an extension and like figure this stuff out. But yeah, I definitely could have done better in high school. Again, I just didn't really have the support system I needed at the time to be a better person. And when you're a kid, you rely on your adults to be there for you and you really need an adult support system. I think at that time it's crucial and I didn't have it from anybody really. I didn't have it from my teachers. I didn't have it from my counselors. I went to a primarily like dominated like white people school and
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I don't know. So I had so like my counselor in high school. I was like I didn't like her, but I feel like I didn't like her because people told me that I shouldn't like her. Because
mm,
looking back, she actually had my back a lot of the time, and I really appreciate her now. Like, when I'm like removed from the situation, I really appreciate her. And I actually still like not heavily, but like lightweight keep in contact with her because I work in education now
mhm.
and I want to build my career in education. And I like really look like I said, I appreciate her now and I look up to her now, you know. But I couldn't at the time, and I think it's just a part of like being an angsty kid, you know, and just like not liking authority and stuff. But I was actually going to ask. I'm glad that you brought that up. Do you feel like your experience um was very like influenced, or like it would have been very different if you had attended like a different school, like in a different city maybe, or like I went to public school. This is something that I talk about often with George, my boyfriend, and also you guys both went to private school for high school and elementary and all that. So do you feel like I mean, my impression of it as somebody who went to like a different style of school is that like it's kind of like a bubble where like everybody knows everybody more. I feel like it's a tighter knit place, and that could be good and bad. So I don't know. Do you feel like that affected your experience, or it changed you, or how do you feel like you dealt with that?
Oh, 100% because I remember I would beg my mom to let me go to like my school that I was supposed to like my assigned public school because nobody looked like me in high school. There was nobody that looked like me. Nobody was my skin brown, like my brown. Nobody was like everybody I'm not even that brown and I was one of the darkest people in every single class. Had my accent. Like I remember I would try so hard to speak white English. That's what I used to call it in high school. Is every single time I had to go up to like a teacher or a counselor or somebody in the office, I would like right away like try and figure out how I can get rid of my accent and speak in white English so that I felt like I don't know, like I was validated in some way by them. I don't know. It's that's a whole I'm like that was a whole experience that I definitely had to work through as an adult and and crack down and learn from, and I don't, it's just, you know how you said at the beginning, like we really tried to not think about high school. It's one of those things I try not to think about. It's one of those things I try not to think about high school, not because it was like, oh, I was a kid, and it was just like, it's just kid like memories. Like, no, I try not to think about high school because so much of my traumas were from that phase in my life. And it's hard to bring up. It's hard to bring up, but I think it's important to bring up because if there are kids out there listening, I know I'm not the only one that had to go through these things in high school. I know that there's still kids right now going through it, because of the pandemic, no one's going to class. Is this sounding a little scratchy, best friend, or no?
No, it sounds
No?
okay. Like when you
Okay.
breathe out, I can hear a little bit, but like only if you exhale. But for the most part,
Okay.
it's good.
Okay, because it was sounding is it scratchy now?
No.
Okay. Yeah, no. High school. Oh, I know there's a lot of kids right now that are still going through things that I went through in high school, which was the feeling of being so alone and not fitting in. Because in high school, all you want to do is fit in. Like, let's be real. All you want to do in high school as a kid is fit in with somebody. And when you
Yeah, and be
don't fit,
liked by everybody.
yeah. And when you don't fit in anywhere, you try molding yourself in ways that you can fit in. And that's all I did in high school was try to mold myself in different ways. I remember one time some like Twitter account that my high school, like some kid in high school was running, that it was basically like a roast Twitter account, was like
Oh my god, I remember those.
dude, those are crazy.
Oh, that's evil, dude. Kids are freaking evil. Like,
Kids are horrible. What was our topic again? We're talking about like, what was our topic for this podcast? We're
oh,
talking
if you knew me in high school, no, you didn't.
we're talking about if you knew me in high school, no, you didn't. But we're gonna go in on these mean kids. Kids are so mean in high school. Kids are so mean. I was mean too, though, but because kids were mean to me, and it's just like a constant, like little cycle
It just,
that
yeah, it's a vicious cycle. It just feeds off of each other.
yeah, I felt like I was at war every day. I was like, all right, who am I gonna have to fight today to make it out alive and make it out okay? It really felt like that,
Yeah.
and um, yeah, so that was kind of high school for me. There's much more that goes into it, but high school was not it wasn't the greatest of times. It was just me trying to figure out how to fit in with people while trying to figure out why I was so angry and sad all the time. Um, Constantly trying to just be loved by somebody. That's all I wanted, was to just feel like I belonged and felt loved by somebody there. And it meant, it kind of pushed me into like hanging out with the wrong people, not people I should have been surrounding myself with. So,
Oh my god, yeah. If we ever do an episode about like friendships, I just mentioned previously about like my best friend Rudy and how like he was a rock for me during this time of my life, but we could have a whole other episode about talking about bad friends, like friends who steer you in the wrong direction. Because I mean, I don't know if everybody's like this, because I mean, you're either the friend that's steered in the wrong direction or you're the friend that's doing the steering. So
yeah, yeah.
I don't know if everybody's gone through this, but I feel like I've definitely gone through like times in my life where I was very easily influenced, and like having bad friends during those times, it's like not good. And yeah, so and it's funny now because like I said, I work in education. I actually work in an elementary school, so it's a totally different like level and different phase than what we're talking about. But sometimes I consider like if I would like to work with high school students, and honestly, I'm scared of them. Like to this day, to this day, I'm very scared of like preteens and teenagers. Like, and not in a like an actually fearful way, but like in a way where I'm like, ooh, like they're intimidating. Um, my school goes through sixth grade, and I remember we don't have any kids on campus right now, but I used to work when the kids would come to school, and I would see them sometimes after school, and I'm afraid of them, dude, like because they're mean to each other, and I'm like,
Remember that one
I'm so
story you told?
soft.
Yeah, I remember when you told me that one story where there was that kid that was like calling you and you were like, me? Like, remember? Or no?
And a kid that was calling me.
Yeah, some kid was like calling you or like was calling you and you were like, me? And then he was like, yeah, like, no, am I drawing? Are we, no?
I feel like I do know who it is, but that kid would like, he would do all kinds of things. Like I remember there was this one time, and I think I told you this one, where they like almost got into a fight. And literally when I
Mm,
tell you, I was like sweating, like I was so nervous because I was like, oh my god, like if they fight, I have no idea what I'll do. Like, and like even like to me, like they're bold, like even though like I'm like a teacher, like I'm not a teacher, but they call me teacher and stuff, and like they see me like as very different from them, like I'm very scared of them.
mhm.
And it's just because I'm intimidated, because I've always just like, kids are intimidating sometimes. And they're mean, and like they're very bold. And I feel like now with social media, it's very different because everybody gets their personality from the same place. Um, you know, so like we're all in the loop. No, for real, everybody gets their personality from social media, including these kids. And so I remember they would say stuff sometimes that I'd be like, what, like you're mean.
She said she said we all copy and paste our personality.
No, dead ass, dude. That's
No,
the
you're
that's the
not
world we live
wrong.
in.
No, you're 100%
And
right.
everybody puts their own little like flair, their own little seasoning
Mhm,
to it.
mhm,
But for the most part, like we're all consuming the same
mhm,
TikTok, Instagram, which we're gonna talk about social media in another episode. So
mhm,
stay tuned for that one. But we all consume the same thing,
mhm.
and everybody puts their own little spin on it. But like, yeah. Anyways, I don't know where I was going with
Yeah,
that
no,
rant,
kids
but
are
kids are bold.
mean. Kids are bold. Kids are mean. But you know what? Most of the time, I want to say 90% of the time, it is not their fault that they're being bold and mean like that. And if they are, like, whenever a kid acts up, I'm always interested to know a little bit more about them. Just coming from a fellow, like a prior mean kid myself, like I know there's more to it. There's always more
Yeah.
to it because kids aren't naturally mean and bold.
No, 100%. No, not
No,
at
no
all.
one is born being mean. Like no one is born being mean. So if somebody's being mean in high school, there's always a reason why. My reason was just to protect myself and because I was just angry at a situation that had happened to me and I didn't even know. And I was just trying to figure out like what was going on with myself and it like I said, I was just taking it out on not everybody. I think I was only mean to two people. So but that's two people, you know, that's two people and every person matters and every person is so important. And it's kind of weird because I feel like if you ask other people that I went to high school with, like tell me about Valerie, they'll probably tell you like she's super nice, like she was cool, she was a nice girl. But I think for me, just the fact that I was just so evil to like mostly one person, like that to me is just like it clouds everything else. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how nice I was to the world. If I was just like that rotten with one person, I wasn't a good kid in my eyes. But whoo, so how do you think you've changed since high school?
Um, so so like I said, I think a lot in a lot of ways I've leveled up my life. Um like I said, I was not very outgoing. I wasn't very friendly. I wasn't really mean to anyone either. I just kind of like minded my own, and I didn't really make friends. Nothing. So I think I'm very different in that way where and it was actually on my last year's vision board. I showed it a couple episodes ago, but one of my goals and one of the things that I've been working on a lot, like in my young adult life, has been like doing a better job of like being a friend and like having friendships. Because I didn't, I mean, I did, but I had like my select few that were very loyal to me, and I was very loyal to them back, and that was it. But it's nice to have, you know, like multiple friends and like friends that do different things, and it's very fulfilling to me now, you know, that I'm able to have that. But first, that just the way that I view like my friendships, it's much more my friendships have always been important to me, but I've focused more now on broadening that area of my life because I feel like it was very restricted when I was younger. And I said a
Yeah.
lot, like I said, a lot of it had to do with like not like school. It had to do with like my home life. Like I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't really hang out with anyone, couldn't really do anything. Like I didn't really do social events. I went like I would go to like football games because I was in band, like not
Mm-hmm.
because I was allowed to go to football games, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So things like that. I've tried to put like a lot of emphasis on. Um, I think I don't take my life like so seriously anymore. I take my life very seriously still, but I feel like when I was in high school, I had a lot of pressure to like be very successful, and I had a very like strict idea of like what my life should look like, and now I don't take myself so seriously and I don't take my life that seriously anymore, to the point where like it like crushes me, you
Did
know.
you have a list
um
of like time frames? Like by this age, I'm gonna do this and this and this, and like by this age, like were you that kind of high schooler or no?
Yeah, I was very ambitious. I had a lot of ideas about like I thought I was gonna go to like law school and all this stuff, and I still could, you know, but I had like a very narrow idea for sure, and now I'm just kind of like, well, like I think when you realize that nobody knows what they're doing, and everybody's just winging it, and nobody is actually that impressive, like because I would look at certain people and be like, oh my God, they're so impressive. They have their life together. And now, like, as the years have gone by, I realize that nobody's actually that impressive. Like, everybody's just people.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm. 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 Mhm.
so I feel like that was very different for me. But yeah, like I said, my confidence leveled up. In the early half of high school, I was
Okay.
messing with people, and by people I'll be very specific and say boys that did not value
Ooh,
me. That's
boys
a whole
ruin
other episode.
everything. How
Dude,
boys
yeah.
ruin high school.
Yeah. How boys ruin women and the world. And this is it's gonna be the title of my book. But
How men don't make the world go round.
yeah, no, did as or have you ever seen those memes where it's like a beautiful waterfall and like flowers and stuff, and it says like this is what the world would be like if men went to therapy? No, and I would be even more specific and say if high school boys went to therapy.
If high
And
school
it's not their
boys,
fault. It's not their fault, like we said. Um,
because they're
people are not just
kids.
born mean. Exactly, they're
Yeah, they're
kids.
kids.
It has to do with like toxic masculinity, immaturity. It
Mhm.
has to do with so many things. But
Mhm.
I was just messing with boys that I should not have been messing with. And it like did really affect my confidence. It affect like I remember like when I think back to me during like high school relationships, like I
Mhm.
really really wish that like I could give myself like a big fat hug, because like I was so, I don't want to say weak because it's like vulnerability and like softness is not a weakness,
Mhm.
but I was so like I lacked so much confidence. I lacked so much ability to like love myself that
Mhm.
like what any stupid boy thought of me or how they felt about me affected my life so hard. Um, and I just let myself get walked all over in that area of my life, which I'd like to think that I don't anymore. So that's a very big way in which I'm very different now. I don't know.
Well, that actually leads into my next question that I had for you is as we're wrapping up, um, what's something that if you can go back and tell your old high school child self, what would you say?
Don't talk to boys. No,
Period.
and maybe not like completely don't talk to them, but
Yeah.
like you don't need like their validation,
Mm,
even just from bad friends. Like you don't need that relationship. Set those boundaries and put yourself first.
yeah.
What else? I would just tell myself that like this phase is not going to last forever, and like my life is going to be so different in just a few short years. That doesn't mean that every single problem is going to be solved, because I thought that like probably if you asked 15-year-old me, she would think that 23-year-old me would have solved like all her problems and be living like her greatest highest self,
My-
which I have a lot of work to do still, you know. And so I realized that I have a lot of growth to do still, but a lot of the problems then would be solved by now, and there would be new
mm,
problems.
mhm.
You know, but yeah, I would just tell myself that it's not going to be like that forever. It actually won't be like that for very long at all. Problems in high school and like who matters and whatever, like 99% of it disappears like once high school ends.
Yeah. Honestly though, I feel like 15-year-old you, like if 15-year-old you could see present you, like right now, like you as a 23-year-old, so future her, she would probably be even more proud of what like you've accomplished now than what she had thought she was going to back
Hmm.
then. Um,
Thanks, best friend. I mean, who knows? She was ruthless as fuck sometimes, but
well, that hasn't changed. That's one thing that did not change. No, no.
yeah. But what about you? How's your life different now?
Ooh, You know what? I'm the person who I've always wanted to be and who I always was now. Unfortunately, I couldn't be that person in high school because of events that happen. And sometimes, you get thrown these s- situations, life throws these situations at you, and it changes who you are. And sometimes you have to change who you are to survive and to make it out. And as a kid, that's what I was doing. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I had to do what I had to do to make myself just survive. And although I am very regretful of my attitude towards some people, which I do want to say, um, the person I've been talking about, her and I are friends now. It's the world, the world is crazy, the world spins, and um, you just never know. But her and I are friends now. We actually DM back and forth every now and then. Like I think we just talked like a couple days ago too. So um, it's crazy. But I had to go back and had to reevaluate my mistakes that I made as a kid, as being an adult, and I try to just trace back and fix my wrongs, right my wrongs, and that's what I try doing. And after you do that, you can only grow from that point. So once I was able to go back and forgive myself for everything that I thought I did wrong, I was finally able to start embracing who I've always been. And I think as the years go by, I just become more and more the person that I knew I was always going to be. Again, I didn't have the tools and I didn't have the right emotional support at the time. So I don't think I've changed. Like, like I'm always the person I want to be. I just finally fought my demons off, and yeah, and now I'm here. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Um, and so, like, looking at yourself in high school and where you are now, and like all the lessons that you've learned, what do you wish? Because sorry to cut myself off here, but Val and I feel like we share something, which is that we're both the oldest sibling, and we didn't have like someone to go to a lot of the time. Obviously, like we had like our own support systems with friends and stuff, but like as far as like an older sister figure or like someone to look up to, we didn't have someone like that lived in the same house with us or like that we could always go to, right? So what would you
Right.
tell yourself at that age, being who
Oh,
you are now?
oh my gosh. I would give myself a huge hug and just tell myself that all of that is temporary, that nothing that's going on at the moment is going to last forever. Nothing at all. Even the things that you think are this is it, like this is the end, this is all, and it consumes you and you really think like that's all there is to it. No, like you're only at the like you've only taken like two step past the starting line. You're still at the starting and you have so much to do. You have so much growth to just walk into. Um and it's all worth it. Every single struggle you're going through, I know like, lots of times you don't want to be like, there's riches in the struggle and stuff like that, but really like all those things you're going through right now, if they're tough times, like they're going to shape you up to be this amazing, beautiful person that's going to go out into the real world and be able to dominate because you've gone through it. If you can get through it in high school, I promise you can get through anything out in the
Seriously.
real world, because I feel like a lot of times in high school they tell you like the real world is so much different. Like no, it doesn't get worse than it was in the little high school realm of like the popular kid. No, no, no. Like you can
I
handle it in
agree.
there. Yeah, if you made it past high school, you can make it anywhere and you will be successful doing it and you're going to be an amazing person. So that's what I would have to say.
Oh my gosh.
What would you say? I'm like, let's wrap it up with that. What would you say to a younger sibling or a younger cousin? Oh, also, don't talk to boys. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's
Yeah.
not worth it. Boys are not worth it. Boys just, I mean, some boys
Yeah.
I guess are, but not all of
And
them.
sometimes you just have to go through it. Like, honestly, we're always like, oh, like advice to my younger self, but like again, like younger me would not have listened because she really needed to like burn herself to
Yeah,
learn.
yeah, yeah.
That's just the type of person that I am. Like, you
You
can't.
know,
I need to learn on my own.
yeah, I guess some advice too, best friend, maybe we can give for somebody who is an older sibling or somebody who does have younger cousins that look up to them, is all you can do is just be there. Like all you can do
Yeah.
be there. And I've learned a lot from you because I'm a very protective person, and sometimes my protectiveness steers into being controlling. And I have a younger sibling. So sometimes I want to control what he does in order to protect him from what's to come. And I've learned a lot from you of like, you just have to let them figure out what they're doing. Like, they just have to go through it. And our role as that person who supports them is just to literally support them and be there no matter what. So,
Yeah, and a lot of the times the things that like you go through as far as like, like being involved with like wrong friends or like talking to stupid boys or making decisions that were not the smartest or whatever, I feel like all of it is so freaking normal. Like it was like I was thinking about it today and thinking about how like kids will start doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and it's like it's literally so normal. Like it's the
yeah,
part of that phase in your life, and so it will pass.
it
It
will
will pass.
pass.
That frontal lobe will develop
Yes, it will
in your brain. You
pass.
will mature, and everyone else will mature. And you just have to go through it a lot of times, and it will not be the same.
No, and you're gonna
Yeah.
find amazing friends. Trust me, like there's so many amazing, beautiful people outside of those classrooms, outside of those four walls. I didn't meet my best friends till after high school. My two best friends I met after high school, and I know that these two best friends, I mean, they really don't have an option at this point, but they're gonna
No, ma'am.
they're gonna be here for a while. Let's just say that for sure. But you guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode, this podcast. I think we're on episode 4, 15, 14, 14,
14, I think.
14. Thanks so much for tuning in to episode 14, where we talked all about high school and like what we were like.
Yeah, and just to wrap things up, I'll repeat: if you knew me in high school, no you didn't, you don't know me anymore.
If you know us.
And if you follow Authentic Amigas, though, you do know me. So
Oh,
shout out to you if you're
period.
here.
Period. If yep. If you knew me in high school, you don't know me anymore. I was not a bad bitch then. But now, honey.
Watch your mouth.
I'm like, now, honey. Hold on. I'm like, these baby hairs are ruining my moment.
But yeah, so thank you so much for tuning in, like Val
Yeah.
said. And keep up with us on all our social medias at Authentic Amigas. Keep up with Miss Valerie. I know y'all love her at S Valerie Pamela. Follow
Right.
her Valerie Pamela brand, Valerie Pamela label, at Valerie Pamela everywhere. And I'm at Florencia Galvan. And
Yeah.
that's all we got for today.
Thank you guys so much. We love you guys, and we hope that you have an amazing week. Hit us up if you want to talk to a friend, two friends. We're here for you always, and we'll talk to you on the next one. Bye.
Peace.
You want to sing, best friend?
Me sing?
Yeah, say the goodbye. Sing the goodbye song. We need a goodbye song.
We do need a goodbye song. I don't know
Mm,
what it'll be
mm.
though.
Goodbye.
We need to get
Goodbye.
Miss Danielle on that.
Oh, I'm breaking things out. You guys, we gotta go. Okay, bye.